Genetics, what can it mean? The ability to perfect the physical and mental characteristics of every unborn child.
The 1997 movie Gattaca featured a world where children are born through genetic manipulation to make sure they possess their parents' best traits. Almost 2 decades after this movie was made, this idea may not be too far from reality. You're taking out the bad parts of genetics and so to speak, manufacturing them in a different way to put them back into an embryo and create a disease-free human being.
We shouldn't be getting diseases. And one of those diseases that affects us all is aging, right? The result of aging is we become crippled, old, we can't think as well. But that's caused because we have mutations inside of us that generate over time that in the future hopefully we can correct and be proactive. I think we can look at our code as software that we can update and upgrade and fix and clean.
If I'm going to have a child,
right,
can I come to you today and say, okay, I want you to examine all of my genes and my husband's genes and tell me and take out what's not good or what could potentially be a health problem?
So we now have the ability to do full genome sequencing prior to implant. The next step is to not only be able to sequence, but also to make the corrections, make the fixes, so we can make sure that child doesn't end up with BRCA or breast cancer, doesn't end up with cystic fibrosis, doesn't end up with Huntington's disease, any of those single gene disorders.
So what specifically changed in the technology to allow us to do this?
Sequencing being the one I think people are most familiar with. It was $3 billion to read a human. Today it's $1,000. And there's other things like CRISPR, the ability to do genome surgery and do edits of the genome. That's now becoming a very easy, simple thing to do.
When you said earlier that human beings will now be, their gene sequencing, they will be manufactured on a computer before they're actually...
Yeah, I think there's, I can't imagine, after 10 to 20 years that people would not design their children digitally. It would be thought of as insane or barbaric. There's just too many mistakes out there where we don't know what's going to happen. Schizophrenia or addiction disorders or ADHD, these kinds of conditions, they're going off the charts, primarily because men are waiting longer to have children, and that's resulting in more mutations in the sperm, which is resulting in more mutations in the embryo and the adult human.
Thanks very much.